Hello, it's Wesley, and for my persuasive topic, I'm going to be doing on whether college athletes should be paid or not. I personally believe that they should be paid for many, many reasons. So, on average, a college athlete spends about 43 hours doing their sport, whether it is practice, games, or if it is workouts, watching game film, studying the game, playbooks, so many things. And 43 hours is more than the average American works full time, because most people work 40 hours a week. And not only that, they're also going to school. So balancing a 43-hour job pretty much and doing college for schooling is really hard to do and is very hard for the students and has them a lot of stress. Because college is already stressful enough, it would be that much harder if you have to go travel for games and practices and not getting paid at all that entire time. Many college students have a job. Like I personally have a job. I work full time and do online college. Most of the college athletes do not have any job because, like I said, 43 hours a week, or 43 hours a week, yeah, is more than the average person works. And plus with schooling and travel and everything they have to do, is would just be so hard to balance. I don't understand how they could do it. Like people say that oh they have scholarships, they're fine, like they don't have to pay for their college, which is more than fair, but they still have to pay for things such as clothing and pay for food and gas, and with no income, it would be obviously really hard to do. And just like for some numbers, the NCAA makes about $2.5 million a year. The highest paid coach makes $11.1 million on his salary. The NCAA makes about 11 billion annually for with all the teams put together, which is an absurd amount of money. $11 billion, and their players get nothing. But the players are the people that bring everyone in, because people pay to watch the athletes, but the athletes aren't getting paid anything, which is ridiculous. Another example is Alabama Crimson Tide, which is usually one of the best college football teams every single year consistently. Made $143.3 million, which is more than 25 of the 30 NHL teams, which is the National Hockey League, which is professional. So their college brought in more than 25 out of 30 NHL teams, which is absurd that they're not getting paid anything. But all of those hockey players are getting paid and getting paid well. Another argument is there's no fair way to pay the students. Like, well, how would you pay some of the athletes for one sport and some for another sport, and how much they get per player? But I think of that just the same way as professional, because in professional, some sports you make more money, and some positions will make more money than others, depending on how good the player is, which is exactly how it should work in the college, in my opinion, because a really good college player might not get paid anything, and one that's not as good won't get paid anything either, which is ridiculous because even if you're not good and you ride the bench pretty much in professional, you still get paid even if you're a backup player. Another thing is that they won't have any money saved up. Only 2% of college athletes make it to the professionals. So the other 98% are stuck with not getting paid at all during college, which is crazy because they're going to have to find some other career and something else to do after college. College isn't their entire life. So they would have to pay for their housing after that, their food, and everything else I already mentioned, but they have no money saved up because they spent their entire time dedicated to the sport and dedicated to schooling. So they wouldn't have any money, pretty much, which is ridiculous. Being a college student is hard enough. Being a college student with no money and doing a full-time sport for only a 2% chance to make it pro, I find rather ridiculous. And then another thing is, even say the numbers don't work and you can't pay them based off of their position and their skill level, college athletes also don't get paid for advertisement. A big example I have is the Fab Five, which was a college basketball team that was very, very well known. They played for Michigan, which I live in Michigan, so I know a lot about them. They were advertised everywhere because they had 5 starting freshmen on their team, and they were winning a lot. Like, they won championships, and they got no money, none, and they were advertised everywhere. They made the college over $100 million that year, and they didn't get a single dime of it because the college couldn't pay them for advertisement or for playing, which I just find unfair and unjust, because it's them bringing the people in. It's not the coaches that are getting paid like $11 million, I believe, a year, and the players that are making the coaches rich don't get paid a dime. And I just don't see how that's right. So college players should be paid, even if it's not much, at least something. Even if it's minimum wage, just give them something so they can get by with their housing, their bills, their clothing, their gas, their food, everything that they need.